everyone. This is Mrs. Atom,
And this is Mr. Atom.
and you're listening to By the By. One of these days we'll get a proper intro, but
Dun, 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 dun.
for now we have what Mr. Atom is over here singing.
If anybody has a intro that they would like to do for us, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll work on it one day.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we have a graphic. What else do you want? Graphics are hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So hey, it's night. We have wine.
Yeah.
And we're here to talk, about stuff, things.
Stuff and things like that?
Yeah.
Right.
So what's been going on? What has been going on? We've moved. Had moved the last time we were on the podcast, but we have now officially had our housewarming party, and our house is officially warmed. It feels warm.
Yes, it does. Even though it is winter, it feels pretty freaking good at the moment.
Yeah.
Although it hasn't really been a very cold winter yet, but I'm good with that.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, we had our first play partners in our new place.
Yes, we did. That's right.
Yeah. The first ones.
They broke in the place.
Well, I don't think so.
Well,
But we'll determine that. We'll discuss that later.
For us, they broke in the place. Yeah.
So yeah, we had a housewarming party where it was interesting because I think there was like 17 people here, and I had seen all but 4 naked.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. That's always nice.
Yeah.
Most of them were play partners, which is again nice. It's a good kind of party. It's a comfortable.
It's a good circle of friends to have. Yeah.
Yeah. Because as you may or may not know, she's playing
I
with the
think
computer
it's fine.
now.
No, it's good. I think.
Look, it's the bottom of the computer.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
We'll fix that in post.
Exactly.
As you know, we have both pants on and pants off friends, and almost all of these friends are in the pants off category, and those who aren't at least know that we have pants on and pants off friends. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good group of people because, like you said, most of the people we played with and the ones we didn't know our lifestyle. So there, nobody has to try and pretend, or you don't have to filter, you don't have to censor yourself. It's just easy breezy, the way we like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. But we had 3 people spend the night with us on 2 nights, Friday night and Saturday night.
It was a long weekend.
It was a long weekend down here. God bless the Queen. So we had 3 people spend the night with us. We had, we're calling them Tony and Maria because, it sounds sexy and they're sexy people. And I like the names Tony and Maria because of West Side Story. So,
That's who they now are.
That's who they now are. And then we had the illustriously beautiful lady who was on a podcast with us with her partner a couple of months ago.
When we were in Ireland.
Yep, when we were in Ireland. She stayed with us as well. So it was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was a very good weekend.
Yeah, we had the first night. So the way we ended up dividing up the place, we had Maria and Tony stayed in our room with us, and then we let the lady have her own space. So the 4 of us, it was like college all over again. We had a mattress on the floor and
slumber party. Adult slumber party.
Adult slumber parties are the best slumber parties.
Absolutely. Way better than when I was a kid.
I know. And we didn't even have a pillow fight.
Oh, we didn't. You're right. We're going to have to do this again. We're going to have take 2.
Challenge accepted.
Excellent.
Yeah, but the first night it was a lot of soft swapping.
Yeah.
A little bit of oral on each other and whatnot. And then we ended up. I actually
thought a lot
of
oral on Maria.
Yeah, that girl. She's
fun.
Easy to go down on.
Yeah.
And admittedly, I thought that we were going to do full swap that night, but he kind of went after her, and I'm like, all right, cool, that's awesome. It's a good show to watch, and then
Absolutely.
So you and I started, going to. How many bases are there? We were like at 6th base at that point. I don't know, 7 bases. I don't know.
You do a home run and go back around again.
Yeah, we did a home run field goal thing. It was,
yeah,
crazy. But yeah, no, it was good. It was a lot of fun. And then night 2, we after a very long day of both cooking and getting everything ready and whatnot, and then the long party, and fortunately, neither you and I had drank that much, and then
No, I don't think any of us that were staying
no,
here drank that much,
yeah.
really. So it was quite good because everybody was still quite lucid and able to play and have fun and
yeah, in the moment.
yeah, you could be in the moment.
Yeah.
You could know what was going on. You could enjoy it, and then the next day you could, more importantly, remember it.
I
So.
know, right? I hate those and I've done that before where I play and I'm like, the next morning I'm like, wait, what do you look like naked?
Yeah.
But yeah, fortunately, it was good. It was a really good, like, that girl is fucking hot.
Yeah.
And I'm not attracted to women normally. It's funny. So Mrs. Adam and I have had this conversation before. In a normal time, like if we're walking down the street, and two or three people come out of a gym in front of us, I never look at the women. I don't notice women when we're out. Women, it takes a very different woman to attract me. And Maria's like that. It's like,
Yeah.
I love talking to her. I think she's gorgeous on the inside and the outside. She's a catch.
She's a fun person. Yeah.
And
beautiful.
Tony as well. He's a really smart guy. He and I haven't played much because I haven't sort of pushed that boundary yet with him because I don't know where he stands
right
on the whole guys thing.
But even in a pants-on kind of way, Tony is great conversationalist.
Yeah, intelligent as hell,
yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And Maria is too. Me being a complete theater junkie.
And in Tony's defense, he's no slouch in the sack either. I
was
able to play with
sex.
him even though you didn't.
We forgot about sex.
Yes.
I got distracted by other shit. Look, I'm talking about theater. God.
Yeah. Because on the Saturday night with the housewarming party, we ended up full swapping that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting with that. I was going to come back to that.
Okay.
I was going to come back to that, but I was blowing smoke up their ass at that point, telling this is wine, not pee.
Yeah. Refilling the glass.
Yeah, it's important.
It's all good.
I was getting back to that, but I was talking about how great they are first,
yes.
so that I can then talk about how great they are in
the
bed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And it was great. Yeah. It was great.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They're a fun couple, in bed, out of bed. Very lucky to have had them to stay.
Yeah, and it was kind of random, but I'm glad that they stayed. And
yeah.
So I think we've made friends for life now. So woohoo!
Yay!
So that's basically most of the new stuff that's been going on. I will say, because I know she listens to the podcast, apologies to the lady for having to hear us on the second night, because I know that she actually commented to me that she's like, I heard all four of you. and my favorite response, she said, it sounded like Maria and Mrs. Adam had a very, very nice time. So, yeah. And so the answer is we did, and they did.
The answer is yes. Yes, we did have a very nice time.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good. It was a good party.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough to have Blue Steel show up
for
a short while,
yes.
But we hadn't seen him in ages, and so it was nice to see him.
Every bit of time we get with Blue Steel is good.
It's good time,
yeah.
And because he's now got he's got a serious boyfriend now.
Yeah.
And which is good for him, bad for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
It's good though. He's happy. So
yeah, he's happy. And that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight was we have recently invested, and I say invested due to the price of these things, invested in some toys over the past, I guess 3 months, 4 months.
One of them maybe.
Yeah.
One of them was
a while
ago. But then recently we've had a couple of successive visits to Max Black,
yeah.
And we've gotten a number of things there to play with and add to the repertoire.
So we just wanted to sort of talk about those and give advice on those because, we've got a prostate massager, a strapless strap-on, and then cock rings, and then, yes, the illustrious penis pump. It's not my bag, baby. That's my really bad Austin Powers impression. But we'll go through all of these and talk about them. And Mrs. Adam is convinced that we've talked about the prostate massager already, but it's so good, I think we should touch on it again.
And we may not have. I could be misremembering. I mean, we have obviously talked about it, but I don't know about it on the podcast.
Look,
So.
people, we don't know what we talk about.
No.
We don't really listen to these things. I'm still amazed that you guys do, but we're happy and we love you. All right. Anyway.
All right. So which one do you want to start with? You want to start with that one?
We're going to start with the top.
All right. I love that as we're about to talk about this, Mr. Adam has the webpage open for the Lalo Loki wave, and he has the webpage open, and it's just sitting there waving away on the page at you.
It is. It's like
hello, come play
feel
with
like
me.
It's beckoning me. It's like I feel like I should leave you guys alone, and I should go have some fun.
Like, look at me.
So as Mrs. Adam here said, the item is by Lelo, Lelo, which I always called it Lilo until we recently started watching some videos because they've got the new condom that's coming out.
Yep.
And it's apparently called Lelo.
That's what they always say online, and so that's what we will now be trying to say as well.
But my problem with that is when I was a kid, my mom ran a daycare, and all the kids couldn't say the word yellow, so they would say it was Lelo. And
You're right.
I'm like, oh, God. Now I'm going to think of a child saying yellow every time I see the sex toy. Oh, God, I need therapy.
Well, that just went to a dark place.
I know, right? I need more therapy. It's Lelo, Lelo. And the one we got is the Loki wave. And so Lelo is known for they do like all kinds of women's sex toys. And they had, I think it was called the Ina wave, that was supposedly moved and massaged the G-spot. And so the point is it not only vibrates, because it has two motors in it, it also moves in I'm putting my two fingers together. Come hither, a beckoning motion.
Yeah.
So the idea is you put this, you insert it anally, you put it against your prostate, and it massages your prostate while vibrating the entire time. Additionally, it has this little like thumb thing that's out that goes against the perineum, or as colloquialism, the taint. I always sound so country when I say that. That's why I never say that word. It's like the fucking word antenna. I can't say that either. It's like, God. Fuck you, Kentucky. Anyway, but I digress. So it lays against the perineum and massages the prostate from the outside. So basically, you've got a come hither, come in from the inside, massaging, and then the outside laying against you, massaging as well.
Right.
On a scale of 1 to 10, it gets an absolute, without a doubt, an 11.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that good.
That's the greatest toy known to man. Bar none. There we go. I'm done.
Would you like to expand, or
no?
just leave
It's
it at
right
that?
there. It is the greatest. So, it's a little big if you have very little experience, inserting things into your ass. It's a little big.
Build up to it.
You got to build up to it. It is not a first time out. It's gonna. I'm gonna use this thing. I would say it's probably the size of 3 of my fingers, but I've got small hands. You do.
I don't look at my hands. Mine are even tinier.
It's like 4 of your. It's like fisting for you.
It's like fisting for me.
You're like a doll. You're tiny. Anyway, I'm trying to come up with something. And they probably have the dimensions on here, but I'm really too lazy to actually look it up. And
it doesn't matter.
Just looking on the website, I don't see them. But anyway, it's Loki wave. But yeah, so it's a little bigger than what I would say is like entry level, unintended. But even for me, who I'm going to say I'm getting to the point of being an old pro, that first time can be a bit of a oof,
take your breath away, kind of
stretching out kind of thing. The only negative I can come up with this is that it's got this really smart little feature on it that when you turn it on, it remembers where it was last time.
Oh.
Which sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Because that means it's like, oh yeah, it remembers exactly where I was. But I'm going to argue and say that men are not like women in that I'm not looking for straight, especially like with you and your
like
toys,
a wham, bam,
the clitoral things. Yeah. This is definitely something it needs to have a build up.
Yeah.
So I would prefer that when I turn it on, it starts at 0, and then I can play around with the buttons in order to get it up to the level that it's actually. I want it to just start with a very soft vibrate and no actual come hither beckoning thing, because if you go straight from initial insertion to that, you'll explode. It's not and it's not
Yeah.
in a positive way. It's a bad feeling for
So
me.
you just need to remember when you first turn it
Yeah.
on to do that before you insert and set it back to 0,
So
basically.
what I try to remember to do is when I'm done playing with it, while I'm washing it or cleaning it off, I set it back to its
Yeah.
base, 0, very low vibration and no wave. That's my goal. And another thing is if you're using toys like this, guys, it's what we use is we tend to have expired condoms around because you buy condoms and you forget where you put them, and then you find them like 3 years later and you're like, oh, I didn't realize we had condoms in this random shoebox or in this jacket or in this briefcase, because that's how we roll. We use condoms on anal sex toys because then
easy cleanup.
It's a lot easier cleanup.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Loki wave. I would again, if it's something that you're interested in, this is not something to go out and let me rephrase that. If you're interested in prostate massaging, I wouldn't go out of the gate and get this one. It's a big investment. This is something that if you are comfortable with butt plugs and comfortable with anal stimulation, then do it. If this is right out of the gate, I would probably not advise on it.
Okay.
Also, as a side note, I've seen people write this as questions online. Then the question basically is, can I use a woman's G-spot stimulator for the prostate? Long answer, no with a but. Short answer, yes with an if. So the reason I say no with a but, pun intended, is that the prostate and the G-spot are located different places internally, so it's going to get close, but it's not going to be the same. I would really advise, if you're going to do something like that, invest in toy cleaners and always use condoms on the toys, both for you and the woman, because that's asking for a whole fucking world of hurt, of cross contamination there.
More for the woman, but yes.
More for the woman, but
either way, yeah.
And
the other thing too to think about, especially with something like that, where it does have the extra bit to go in the perineum, and the women's toys that are G-spot and clit massagers, the spacing is different.
Yeah,
between the
different.
two, not just with the one bit, but between the two bits, the spacing is different, and so that's also something to keep in mind when you're comparing one and the other.
Because typically a clitoral vibrator will be the size of the tip of your thumb, whereas a perineum vibrator will be your whole fucking thumb.
Yeah.
And that's part of the pleasure. So yeah, can you do it? Sure, with great care and cleanliness. Should you do it? Just invest in something new if you want to play with that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah. All right. I did a lot of talking on this one. I'm going to let you talk about the next one.
Okay. Well, let's move on then to the strapless strap-on. It was the Share Vibe by Fun Factory, right?
Yep.
Oh, and there's a picture of it there. Awesome.
I'm prepared.
Yes.
I'll try to put links up on our webpage for this stuff because, if you're interested.
Yeah.
Both of these items, again, came from Max Black.
Yep. The Share Vibe is a strapless strap-on, and as any of you who've listened to the pegging episode know, we very much like our strap-ons, and I enjoy it very much, I would say as much as, if not more than Mr. Adam. But we have not tried a strapless one. And so we went and we looked around. There are a couple of different options. This one we liked because not only did it have the vibration that, both stimulates the clit for her, but also he can feel it as well, a little, not as much as the last one we were talking about. Admittedly, you can use it on women as well. I've not had that opportunity yet since we got it. We've only had it a few weeks.
A few weeks, but it's already gotten quite a lot of mileage out of it.
It has. Yeah. It's been a good one. So we got this one, and basically, I really like the panties and that we have, and I like wearing a strap-on with those. This is it's a different feeling. I don't know how it is for Mr. Adam. He can chime in on that later. But it's a different feeling for me because there's something about wearing the panties, which admittedly are crotchless, and so there's can be a lot of fun had there, while using a toy as well on him. But this has it has the internal bit that goes up, which actually I will say that's a good thing about the Share Vibe, is that it does have a fairly sizable bulb to go in, so it's easy to hold on to. Since it's the only one I've ever used, I don't have anything for comparison, but I've heard some women say that sometimes they're too small and it's hard to hold on to. It might slip out.
Because you're basically grabbing. So, and when she says this, so there's an insertable bulb that goes in her vagina.
Yeah.
And so it's like I mean, I almost think of it as like it's a temporary cock that you've suddenly got. But so you're grasping
Basically,
onto that
yeah.
with Kegel muscles. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
yeah.
Is the whole time are you clenching down on it? Because that seems. I mean, you clearly like it, but that
maybe subconsciously, but I don't consciously think about it at all. But I think it's just when I'm excited, I'm kind of clenching and whatnot anyway. So
alrighty then.
Yeah. So I don't find it hard at all. To me, it's very easy to keep in. It stays put. It's also curved a little bit, so that may help with how it stays. I don't really know because I don't have this issue, but maybe if someone had, like some women have like the twisted uterus thing and whatnot, it may not be as comfortable for them. I don't know. That I'd be curious, for someone else to chime in and give their input if they have any issues like that. But I found it very comfortable to wear. Like I said, the vibrating bit was interesting as far as the stimulation goes. It was a definite plus, I would say. And I will say that whenever I put it on, Mr. Adam, of course, we got the skin colored option. It comes in a pink, and it comes
purple,
in
all the typical sex toy obnoxious colors.
Yeah, so it comes in all those different colors and whatnot. But as soon as I put it in and was just kind of standing there, he kind of looks at me and Mr. Adams says, "Wow, that's the closest to you having an organ I've ever seen."
Yep.
And even I would say when we were using it, I don't know how it felt, but he seemed more responsive, and I noticed that I didn't have to make as big of movements to get a response. And so there was, I don't want to say less effort, but there just didn't have to be as dramatic of an effort, I guess I should say.
My word I would use is fluid. There's a lot more fluidity because there's a definite difference in you with the strapless strap-on and you wearing the panties.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is it when we also, spoiler alert, have tons of mirrors in our bedroom because we like to look around at ourselves. Hashtag self-centered.
Well, admittedly, I like to look at you more, but okay.
Well, I'm looking at you as well, but us,
sure.
ourselves.
Yes.
God, now I sound like an asshole.
It's okay. You can look at yourself, baby.
But you do have this. You look over and you see you pulling out of me maybe, and it's like it's closer to you having a cock of your own, rather than look over and you see you're clearly wearing panties, and what you've got is a bright orange dildo, strap-on dildo, peg, whatever.
So in that respect, I guess it's a good thing we went with the flesh.
Yeah, and that was for me. Honestly, mentally, that was sort of one of those things. I wanted to sort of get into that mental rhythm of, oh look, she has a penis.
I get that.
What an odd thing to say. You know those phrases you never thought you'd say? Oh look, she has a penis. Anyway, so as a sort of side note, so what they're calling the active part, I'm looking at it on the website now. It's 13 centimeters or 5.12 inches of insertable length for the guy, and also 1.5 inches in diameter or 3.8 centimeters. My only complaint about it is, God, and this makes me sound like a bottom bitch. It needs to be a little bigger. I mean, it's a good size.
Right.
It's also very smooth. It does not physically look like a penis.
Yeah, it is very smooth.
It looks like a dildo.
It doesn't have any of the ridging. It doesn't have any like a bit at the head or anything like that.
Or glands or whatever.
But you also have to remember, I mean, I realize it's probably largely meant for anal play, but it can also be used on women. But again, given that size, you're right. on that cusp.
Yeah,
of,
but still, it should look like a penis.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
I don't understand why not go ahead and put that veining or ribbing or something on it to give it texture. It's great. I
quite like it.
This is my favorite
yeah.
pegging toy that we have currently.
And like you said, we've had it for a couple of weeks, and it's gotten a lot of mileage in that time.
Yeah. I'm actually like, let's go do it now. But, I do really like it.
Yeah.
But I just wish that it was either a little like, and I'm not talking a lot. I'm talking, 1.5 centimeters to 2 centimeters longer, which, or just a little bit bigger around.
Want that extra bit?
I know, right? God, I've been saying that since I was 12. Anyway. But yeah, again, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give this one a solid 9.
It's fantastic, yeah. And it's easy, like I said, it's easy for me to hold on to. It's easy to keep in.
Which is what my big concern was.
And me too, because of talking to people, and they were saying that some of them are smaller and harder to keep in. And I was like, oh, I don't know.
And you don't have any issue. There's never any.
No, not at all.
It is kind of funny, though, because you get all grr when you have it in. You're like, suddenly, it's like an injection of testosterone.
I do that whenever pegging anyway.
Yeah, it's really good.
I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that just, just animalistic, I guess.
Grr.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the vibrations in it is good. It's a removable vibrator, of course, rechargeable, which means that I don't get nearly as much vibration from that as I do from the the Lelo.
Well, also because of where it's positioned,
exactly. It's positioned more for you than it is for me. But in the end, I still, pun intended, I still really like it.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So that's those two things. And again, if anybody ever has any questions or whatever, these are all our own opinions. We're not sponsored by any of these folks. Although if anybody wants to sponsor us, we take sex toys for free. We'll give you a full review for a free sex toy. Anyway, some of the other things that we have sort of ventured into, our last trip to Max Black, we got a vibrating cock ring. We got a vibrating cock ring.
Yep.
And well, no. We got a non-vibrating cock ring and a vibrating cock ring.
Right.
And we went with the penis pump because I wanted to give it a go. And we got a manual anal douche.
Yes.
So.
There's a lot there. Where do you want to start?
Let's start at the top. Pun intended. I feel like we should just say pun intended, and then we can copy and paste it into this podcast because I feel like.
He always means puns.
Puns are awesome.
I know, but you do usually intend them. I love
puns. They're always intended. Okay, anyway, I won't say it again. The cock ring. I had never... I was almost about to say I'd never worn a cock ring. I've never successfully worn a cock ring.
Okay.
We had cock rings.
Yeah.
And we sort of played with them, and I never liked them. I'm like, these are stupid. We had the ones that basically you put 25 cents, 50 cents in a gumball machine and get the gumball cock machines.
They're thin. They're not very big round.
They stick to you.
They almost look like a very fancy girl's hairband or something.
You should totally use one as a hairband.
I totally should.
The next time we go to OSS, you should totally have a cock ring as your hair pull.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got a vibrating one and a non-vibrating one.
Yes.
The vibrating one, I wish I could tell you who made it. I don't know. It's blue. It's tiny. It's hard rubber. And then the non-vibrating one, again, no idea who made it, but it's clear. It's about the width. The ring itself is the width of my thumb, and it's really stretchy.
It's a little squishy, almost jelly-like or something.
Yeah, it's really soft. I love that thing. So having never worn one, not really knowing what I was doing.
Successfully, yeah.
Yes, I should keep saying successfully. We looked it up online. Mm-hmm. How do you put this thing on? I'm like, oh, okay. So what they say online is you stretch it out, drop your balls in it, put your cock junk, whatever, through it, and then that's it. So the idea is that it's restricting, it allows blood flow in while restricting blood flow out, which allows you to have 3 really big positives. There's the fact that if you have trouble maintaining an erection, it helps you maintain that erection. Mm-hmm. It helps prevent... It slows you down.
Yeah.
So,
makes you last longer.
Makes you last longer. So if you're quick to go, it's good. And finally, with the restriction of blood exiting the penis, it makes it bigger.
Right.
Potentially. We're not talking... It's not going to add inches or centimeters, but it adds For me, I honestly think it adds quite a lot of girth. It may all be in my furry little head, but when I look down, I'm like, whoa, I look big.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you agree with that, or is it all?
Yeah.
Am I
No, I
hallucinating?
mean there is more girth there, but it is. I mean, me being a very logical person, I know it's because you're restricting that blood flow. But either way, I still enjoy it. And you're tighter when I'm got you in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm tight like a fucking tiger. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I will say, if you're going to use something like this, make sure look online. Don't use us as a reference, but I did see many places say don't wear it for longer than 30 minutes because you can do damage. And let me tell you, that is one place you don't want to do any fucking tissue damage at all.
Better safe than sorry.
Better safe than sorry. So I try to keep mine down to about 20, 25 minutes. I think the longest I've worn it was 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I start to get a little freaked out, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to lose my penis. Because I'm thinking of like Alive, where things turn black and they fall off. It's like you put a rubber band on your finger and it falls off after a day.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
No, that would be bad. But I highly recommend it. I think it's kind of awesome. Along with that, I don't know how much I've touched on it here, but I'm very conscious of my size, and I'm very conscientious of my size and self-conscious of my size. The size of my junk. And so, always trying to get bigger and better and more pleasing, although Mrs. Adam has never complained. I'm not doing it for her. I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for me. But we also invested in a penis pump.
Yes.
Because, why not? We have...
So I'm going to assume that Mr. Adam has never used one before.
No.
And I've never been with anyone who used it before. So it's kind of one of those novelty things that's like, it might be dumb as hell, but it's just kind of fun. Let's give it a try and see how it goes.
We'll give it a try. If we use it, the thing I look at is I think it was like $40, $50. I don't know. Anyway, if we use it 10 times, it's $5 a time. If we get nothing more than a giggle out of each time, it's worth it.
A giggle's worth something.
Yeah, absolutely. So we used it the first morning after we had it. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think, she was. Hey, lady, you were actually here while I was pumping my junk.
I'm sure she'll love that one.
That makes me so happy. Everybody tweet, #pumping my junk. Anyway.
The lady is never going to visit
Lolo,
again.
Lolo lady. At Lolo lady. Anyway, so... it's actually a really weird feeling, but it feels kind of awesome at the same time.
I have to admit, watching it was really kind of interesting because to me, it's like I know that, when it's pumping and the penis is expanding, I know he's not doing that. I'm not doing that because usually I have to do the work for that.
Oh, it's science, motherfucker.
I know, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, oh, this is going to sound bad, and I don't know how best to describe
just
it.
Rip it off.
But it sounds like something you'd see at a circus, like and you're just like pump, pump, and it's just like bigger and bigger, and it's kind of awesome. Yeah,
the sound effects make it. Oh my God, that's going to be our new intro. Oh God, we're losing all control of this podcast.
No, but it was really kind of neat watching it.
We should totally make the sound we could record the sound of it, and that could be our podcast opening.
Excellent.
Yeah. Get pumped up. It's an interesting feeling. I, again, having researched it, I am terrified of causing bruising or tears or whatever. I am so overly cautious of my...
we don't need to damage that. I want it for long-term play. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it. It seems
like it'd be different.
It's so novel. And so you put the cock ring on, then you use the penis pump, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, look, I have an instant erection, and I don't even have to think a nasty thought. It's like...
do you ever not think a nasty thought?
When I've got when I have a cock ring on and a giant pump over my junk, yes. I'm not thinking a thought. I'm thinking, oh, so this is what the $6 million man's, felt like.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm Steve Austin. So is it something that we would use even every other week? Maybe not. It's admittedly currently laying on the side of the bed. I did try it in the shower the other day. That leads to a funny story.
Okay.
I told you part of that story. I didn't tell you that the penis pump was
No.
part of that story. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Brace yourself, people.
Yeah, you may want to turn it off before that part.
Should I not tell that story?
You can.
I don't fucking care. Yeah, so it was a good story.
The lady might want to turn it off before that point. We'll warn you, just skip ahead 5 minutes.
It's not that bad. It's a funny story.
Yeah.
It's a story of me being a complete fuckwit. Yeah, so I like the penis pump. I think it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to, it's a touchy subject for people, but, I think it's important. And that we also purchased a anal douche.
Yes.
My biggest issue with pegging is cleanliness.
Yes.
Yeah, and almost to the point of it cannot be. It can not be fun if I'm over worried about.
It can hinder the experience. Yeah.
About cleanliness.
Yeah.
And that's true when you go to sauna.
Mm-hmm.
That's true when I play with the guys. I'm always over cautious.
And you should be very cautious.
And it's a hard place to clean.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be realistic. It's not like you can take a toilet roll brush and just rub it. You could. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Ill-advised. Not saying that I have firsthand experience, but anyways. So we got the manual pump, which is, look, guys, it's a ball squeezy thing with a stick on the end. As you might imagine, you feel the ball.
Not that different than a woman's douche.
Yeah, exactly. Or when I look at it, I think of those things that you use on children to clean out their ears. Yeah, or their noses. Yeah. It's those little suction things. That's basically what it is. The blue bulb things. Yeah, the blue bulbs. It's a little bigger than that. Yeah. So the idea, you fill it for warm water, you jam it where the sun don't shine, and you squirt it up in there. Let me tell you my first experience.
We'll just go ahead and preface this with Mr. Adam did not think the whole entire process through very well.
Or at all. No, look, I'm thinking...
He's just a pretty face.
I'm not smart. I'm not. I just...
You are. You just didn't
I do really dumb things.
You just didn't think through the whole process.
So, anyway, I take a shower, and this is middle of the day. It's my lunchtime shower. I work from home, so I can take a lunchtime shower. So I take my lunchtime shower, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to try this whole, anal douche thing. And I'm like, oh, and I'm also going to play with the penis pump in the shower, because why not? Because, who doesn't like to masturbate before they go into the shower? If you don't masturbate before you get in the shower, what's the point of showering?
While you're in there?
I rarely do it while I'm in there.
Oh, I do.
Very rarely. I like to get dirty before I get clean.
Oh.
That makes sense?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Okay.
Anyway, with a man's orgasm, you want to see that.
Okay,
a guy wants to see that.
That's
Even
true.
if it's all over my stomach and chest, I'm like, oh, look what I made. It's like Rorschach test. Anyway, you don't get that pleasure of making a mess.
Sometimes.
Although you've been doing that a lot lately.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole new podcast. That's a whole nother podcast. We'll talk about squirting. What is it? Is it really pee? Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. So I'm in the shower and I'm playing with a pump, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great, but it's really not doing much for me. I'm just kind of goofing around playing with it. I'm not actually trying. My goal is not to get an erection and masturbate. It's just like playing with the pump.
Just to play.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, what does this feel like? And so I get done. I'm like, all right, so I'm going to try this whole. I've already showered. I'm all clean and shit. I'm like, I'm going to try this whole anal douche thing. So I fill it full of water, which was more difficult than it should have been anyway. But I get it to where I can make a fountain when I squeeze it and it's pointing up. And I'm like, oh, well, every time I squeeze it, a little bit of water comes out. I should probably fill it up with water again. So I did that like 3 times. No, but any guy will tell you, any bottom will tell you, you don't want air in there because for the rest of the day, you'll be crop dusting the entire place.
Yeah.
On the bright side, it smells like cherries because it's clean as hell. But, you'll still be crop dusting the entire place. Anyway, so get it full and insert it. And, God, I don't squeeze just a little. It's not like, oh, let's just give it a light squeeze. I fucking squeezed the shit out of this ball. Like, honestly, like it's a stress ball. And work has really got me down.
I'm just picturing this. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure my eyes bulged out a little. So, I don't know.
That's a lot of water to...
It's a lot of water. It's like a
Yeah.
half cup of water. I don't know. 4
Oh,
ounces.
probably more
What
than
is
that.
that?
It's a pretty good size
It's a
bowl.
lot of mils.
I don't know.
We'll say 150 mils of water.
It's a lot.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of water. And I inserted half of it. And so this takes us to a different story. And the story is, do you pee in the shower?
No.
Do you pee in the shower?
No, I don't.
You do not pee in the shower.
No.
I do pee in the shower.
I would love to hear from some of our listeners.
I need to put that on a Twitter.
We're going to have to do a Twitter poll.
We'll do a Twitter
Yeah.
poll.
I do not.
I do, because it's natural. There's water. It's natural. But I can tell you what I don't do in the shower.
The other side?
I don't make dookies in the shower. I've never had diarrhea in the shower.
No.
And when your whole colon is full of water,
What goes out or what goes up must come down.
you would think that.
Yeah.
You would think that.
Yeah.
However, we're so conditioned to not do something.
Yeah.
It's like peeing in the bed. I could
You just don't
challenge
do
you to lay down in bed and pee, and I would be pretty confident it would take you. You have to turn your brain on to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's
for
really
sure.
hard to do that.
Yeah.
But it's even harder to relax your sphincter in the shower when it's full of fucking water. So I do this, and it's of course warm water. It's hot water, which is hotter than body temperature. So suddenly
Did
I've
it
got
feel good?
no, because I feel like I'm
Or was
about to
it just
explode.
the amount? It wasn't the temperature, it was the amount.
No, it wasn't the temperature, it was the
Okay.
amount. But on top of the amount, the temperature
Yeah.
starts getting me that, that lightheaded feeling
Mhm.
you feel when you're like suddenly really hot.
Yep.
Well, I have a whole colon full of hot water that really needs to come out. But
Yeah.
I cannot relax myself in order for it to come out in the shower. And I'm starting to get like lightheaded and dizzy. I thought I was going to faint. I thought I was going to throw up. I'm holding myself up in the shower. We have a stand-up shower now. We don't have a bathtub. So I slam open the door, and I'm like, fortunately, the toilet's right there.
Yes.
I would love to say that this story ends with me landing gracefully on the toilet. I tripped stepping out of the shower, caught myself on the wall and on two walls. Again, almost threw up. Might have leaked a little down my leg. Amazingly, your sphincter does relax when you think you're going to fall.
Yeah.
Throw open the toilet seat, sit down, and just like, oh my God, it was horrific. Anyway, it was clean.
So basically,
It was all water.
So what you're saying is that if anybody tries to replicate your experience,
Don't do what I did.
they should just dial 00 and have it ready for the third 0. Or if you're in the States, 91 and have it ready for the 1.
Look. To quote Forrest Gump, I'm not a smart man. Look, it was... The funny thing is, it was all water. It was completely clean.
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
nothing. I'm sure there was
But mentally,
stuff.
you can't tell
Yes,
yourself that.
You cannot tell
Yeah.
yourself that.
Yeah.
So I would advise not doing it in the shower unless you've got full control of your sphincter. Not doing it in the bathtub because it's just fucking disturbing. Honestly, that's what's so funny
That
about
would be worse.
No, that's what's so funny about all of this is the first thing I thought of was, I should take a bath. I would have
Oh my God.
honestly died.
So apparently, before you undertake anything with a new toy, I need to see your project plan ahead of time and approve it.
I feel like it should be signed and dated and triplicate, and we need to have some sort of Notre D or whatever,
Right.
maitre d saying it's okay. Yeah, so the long and short of it is, in hindsight, on second time around, I knew what I was doing, and I filled it up from the sink and was right there at the toilet.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But
you're squeaky clean after, so all good.
Oh man, yeah, like
Yeah.
squeaky clean for like 2.5, 3 hours. It's great. It's a great feeling. It really is. But yeah.
Practice makes perfect, babe.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the anal douche story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's out in the real world now. It's gonna be posted on the interweb. It'll be real. I don't care. I think it would be a great stand-up story, actually. Because
Everybody has learning experiences like that. Everybody does embarrassing things.
I'm not embarrassed by this. I mean, it's because I look at this like I should have known better.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not embarrassed by it. It's
Okay.
just like I look at that and going, oh yeah, anybody who stops for half a second before they act would know that this is a bad idea.
Mhm.
It was a poorly formed plan. And by poorly formed, I mean non-existent plan.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's it. So those. That's all I've got on that. Any questions on the anal douching?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Have you ever had an enema?
No, I have not.
Never. Oh my God.
No.
What was wrong with my childhood?
I'm trying to. I mean, I know. I've known people who have, but no, I've never had.
Yeah,
what do you
like between the ages of 8 and 13, I had like 1 to 2 a year.
For what?
I had issues.
Well, apparently I didn't have issues. I was perfect.
I even had them like professionally done, like the doctor and shit.
I was perfect. I had no enemas, no issues, no anything.
Anyway,
just perfect.
There you go. So you've never experienced the wonder of warm water filling your colon.
I've used like a female douche. I don't anymore, but I have in the past.
Yeah, but on the lady side, right? Not on the
on the lady side.
Yeah.
But
on the lady side.
The lady side.
Like a vaginal douche.
Yeah. But no, I've never had.
What was that for?
Anything up there. Just when things get infected to help clean and things. Yeah. Yeah.
This is too much for a podcast.
Probably.
Hey, this is serious shit, people. It's not all fun and games. You have to. Cleanliness is next to perfectness.
But no, I've never used and had an enema or anything. No. No.
Awesome. There you go. Now you learned
There's
something.
a first time for everything. I can try it though.
Don't do it in the shower. That's my only advice. That's
awesome.
Great. I'm getting a beer.
All right. So while Mr. Adam goes to get his beer, that I don't know if it's a really great segue into the next section or not.
We need to drink for this next segment. Well,
okay. So apparently we need to drink for the next section. But it's actually a little more serious of a topic. So there's a counselor that we've gone to in the past, and we try to go regularly just to check up and make sure things are all good and whatnot.
Yeah, I would say there's nothing we don't have any issues.
No.
However,
it's like changing the oil in your car.
Yeah, preventive maintenance.
Yeah, the maintenance needs to be done. Relationships are important, and I want to take care of my relationship.
Yeah.
So we go see a counselor every now and again, just for checkups and to talk to her. And it's interesting because even when we think that everything is good and things are going well, etc., we go and inevitably something comes up, and you're like, that even styles of doing things or like arguing styles or things that we think are very minor, it's like she brings up a different point and it's like, oh, I could look at it that way or think about things differently and makes it better, and then we implement it in real life and it actually does make things better. So even when we think things are great, there's always room for improvement, always.
Yeah.
And so we find it really helpful to go.
Nothing's perfect.
No. And last time we went,
except your ass.
Oh, that's nice.
Why? That's true.
I told you I was perfect.
You did say that part of your body was perfect. Gross. Okay, sorry.
Anyhow, so last time we went, we were talking to her, and I don't know, somehow in the discussion, guilt came up. And, of course, a lot of people have issues with guilt, and especially... this is going to maybe sound bad, but a number of my friends and people that I know who are raised Catholic, I always call it their Catholic guilt, because they tend to be guiltier people than others.
We're not guiltier people. We just feel guilt
You
more.
feel guiltier about things. And so as we were talking to her, she was like, well, do you think that's guilt or shame? And admittedly, I'd never even thought about shame. Never. Really. And so we kind of got into the difference between shame and guilt. And it was really kind of got me thinking a lot, about different things. But basically, guilt is when you say, I did something bad. And shame is saying, I am bad. That was kind of the distinction that she used between the two. And so that sparked a whole new discussion and thought train, I think, for us. And she recommended some books that we read, which we've gotten through one. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start on the second one. But there's a lot of just really interesting points in there that kind of make you think, and even things in the book, and you're like, I do that, and just never even realized it, didn't even think twice about it. Do you want to get into some specifics?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think shame and guilt are definitely common in the LGBT community.
Yeah.
but also I think common in the swinging community. I think that
Yeah.
many of us, you know, we when your friends ask you what did you do over the weekend, if your vanilla friends ask you that question and you're honest with them, I think that you may feel guilt being, I'm doing something that I really enjoy that you might not agree with, I feel bad that I'm doing that. Where I think that's can be
Also, because society says that,
yes,
these relationships should be
monogamous or
and pants on
yeah.
and whatnot. And, and so I find myself, when people ask, even, maybe not people I work with, but even other friends who aren't pants off friends, if they ask, I'm like, oh, we caught up with some friends and blah, blah, blah. But you don't really dive into,
Yeah, well, you don't say we
details.
had
And
friends spend the night,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I have issue with that because I don't want to be that.
You don't want to be disingenuous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly. And I think my problem is that I rarely feel guilt, but I consistently feel shame. And that's something that I'm trying to fix and work on. But yeah, it's that when I do something that is outside of the norm for society, I never feel bad about the action. I always feel bad that I wanted to do it, that I'm bad for wanting to do something
And that it
differently.
makes you happy.
Yeah, and that it makes me happy, and that I may not deserve that happiness. It's a way too deep of a conversation, I think, for the podcast. But it's something that I wanted to touch on. And again, so I'd actually written down a long time ago as something I wanted to talk about on the podcast was bisexual guilt, especially because
Yeah.
I understand there's definitely that lesbian and gay. You've got to be there's that separation from society, or you're coming out to your family, or whatever. But I think and I'm going to say this, I think bisexual people have it harder or worse because you can often be ostracized by both groups, and you feel guilty on multiple counts because you're not really gay or lesbian, and you're not really straight. You're somewhere and you feel like you're in a no man's land where nobody really understands you or accepts you, and that you have to choose between gay, lesbian, or straight in order to be accepted and feel like you're part of something. And I know that's a big thing on Twitter that we've seen recently is the bi erasure. And it's
Yeah.
I don't understand why things have to be polar opposite. You either have to be gay or you have to be straight. Why can't there be
Fluidity.
a fluidity to it? And that because that to me makes logic. And I know one thing that I consistently deal with is I often, when I find myself feeling, and I actually wrote this down, melancholy. When I find myself feeling down or melancholy, I feel bad because my partner isn't enough. And it's a weird situation because I would honestly, I feel like that is a flaw of mine, and I would give anything if it was like, oh yeah, you're enough. But you're not, and it's really hard for me to say that, especially to you.
But at the same time, I don't have everything that you need. I don't think that one person has everything that another person needs. That's why you need a circle of friends, however close or not close you want them to be. Everybody needs a circle of friends, a circle of confidants, because no one person can be an entire world to someone else. I find
Yeah.
that really hard to believe that someone could do that. That I'm going to say you in the broader term,
Yeah.
but that you can have every single quality I need in a person.
Yes.
And especially if you're looking at a bisexual person, I mean, not only physically can I not have everything, I mean, sure, I can put on a strap on, but it's not the same, really. But also emotionally, I'm lean more towards the masculine side personality wise, and sometimes you need something a little more feminine. Depends on your mood and what's going on. But I think that's true of everyone, no matter where you fall on the scale. I just find it really hard to. I've never really thought that one partner can be everything to someone else and fulfill every need that they have emotionally, mentally, physically. That just is such a tall order to ask of one person. I don't think it's realistic.
No, I know, and I know that my hangups are all society
Yeah.
or religion.
Saying that should be the
Yes,
case.
saying that should be the case. I understand that, but it's still hard to turn that. It's
Mhm.
hard to flip that switch and say, "Oh yeah, I feel this way.
Absolutely.
I feel
Yeah.
this way because I was told to feel this way, not because I actually feel this way."
Absolutely.
And it's a big it is a big issue, and that's something that I really want to work on. I want to fix because I have a lot of hangups on shame. But
Right.
like so, like, do you feel like, is there something that you feel guilty for on a daily basis or ashamed of on a daily basis? Do you have stuff? Because the book that we both listened to, and that she's actually listened to now twice,
Yeah.
I'm on my second listening to it because, again, we both feel like it's important enough to delve into, is a book by Brene Brown, Brene Brown, like the color, and the book is The Gifts of Imperfection.
And the other book that we've not yet listened to, but I'm going to actually start it tomorrow on my commute into work, is I Thought It Was Just Me. That's the other one.
She's actually a therapist that studies shame.
Yeah. And I think that one actually came first, so we may have done it in backwards order, but whatever.
But yeah. But so, like, is there something that you feel consistently guilty or shameful of?
I would say no, except for like when we're talking to friends or coworkers or people, just, everyday people, and they're like, "Oh, what'd you do this weekend?" And it's like, "Oh, got together with some friends, blah, blah, blah." But, you don't go into a lot of detail. And you don't necessarily need to, but at the same time, it's like, am I hiding something because I'm not telling them that?
No, like,
but again, when you're talking to most people, they don't want every detail of your life,
right.
But
it's like a lie by omission.
Almost, yeah.
So is that guilt or is that shame? Do you feel bad that you're not telling them, or do you feel bad that you've done it? Or do you feel like you're bad that you've done it?
I would say not telling them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is a guilt.
More guilt. Yeah. But that's not necessarily a daily basis thing. What I did, there's a few things in her book that, like I said, I just kind of, when I was listening to it, it was one of those, I do that, but I never realized I did that until I listened to the book, and it's like, just kind of hits home, I guess. And but one of them was when she was talking about, and I don't want to give everything away in the book, but when she was talking about just being vulnerable about like potential experiences or things that are coming up, like there's the potential for something to happen, like there's potential for some big deal at work or to meet up with some people that we're interested in or whatever, and I'm really excited about it. But I tend to play that down and be like, oh yeah, well, it might happen, but I'm not really expecting it. So you try to be realistic about it, but at the same time you're putting it down, not only to yourself, but to other people. And so when it happens, you don't feel as excited about it. And your friends aren't like, hey, wow, yay, good for you, glad that happened, or whatever. Because you didn't, they don't think it's really that important to you because you played it down. And at the same time, when it doesn't happen, it doesn't hurt any less to you. Probably more so then because your friends also don't think it's a big deal for you. So then they're not like, oh man, I'm really sorry, that really sucks and whatnot, because they don't understand how important it was to you because you didn't let them know to begin with. And she's like, what you should really do is say, I'm really excited about this, but I'm trying to be realistic.
Yeah.
But let yourself be excited and let yourself kind of feel a bit more. And I guess that's where I tend to kind of hold back a lot in general is, I don't want to be hurt. And so I don't, I kind of block that out and say, okay, I don't want to feel that, because if it doesn't happen, then that's going to be worse.
Yeah.
And in the end, when it doesn't happen, it's no worse. But when it does happen, it's not good. Not as good anyway as it could be. So that was one of those things that I do, but I didn't realize that I did. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I absolutely 100% do that a lot.
That's funny.
I mean, even with everyday things. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be anything big, like, getting a new job or whatever. It could be just meeting up with people, like, oh, yeah, we haven't seen these people in a while. I really hope we can get up with them. And then we don't. And it's like, ugh, well, whatever. Or if you do, then it's like, oh, well, yeah, okay. So, I do it a lot in everyday little things and big things. But there's a lot of instances in her book that it really is interesting how much you do maybe and don't realize.
Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, I've really liked the book the first time through, and like I said earlier, the reason we're listening to it again is because we both found enough value in it. Mm-hmm. And when I listen to a book, I'm listening and I pay attention, but I feel like I miss probably more than if I took the time to sit down and read it. Mm-hmm. but I don't have the time to sit down. I don't make the time to sit down and read books anymore. Right. So I have to get them in any way I can, and so we listen. But it's been good, and it's been a little bit eye-opening and a little bit depressing, but
But in the end, I think it's really been very helpful. There's a lot of things like that kind of changes the way you look at things and the attitude. And one of the other things that she mentions early on is if you're sort of interested in doing something, rather than saying I would like to, but maybe later, maybe whatever, maybe when I have more money or whatever,
when I lose more weight, or when I am tanner, or I'm more muscular, or.
Yeah, so instead of saying that, just go ahead and say, hell yeah, I'm going to do it, and regardless.
And that's, if you've ever thought, hey, I want to go to a swingers club.
Yeah,
but I'm going to wait until I lose that next 10 pounds. Or I'm going to wait until I am more muscular. Or I'm going to wait until I'm tanner. Or I'm going to wait until I'm whatever. The point is, just do it.
Just do it.
Just
be confident and sexy in yourself, and that's what people want.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect. Just get out there, be sexy, confident, and enjoy yourself.
And the converse to that is, the feeling of shame and feeling of alone and feeling like no one else could ever feel like you feel right now. The truth of the matter is there are people who feel that way. And if you've ever taught anything, if you've ever done a training class or been in a training class, and the teacher or the instructor says, does anybody have any questions? Yeah. And you hear that there's no one has any questions. And somebody raises their hand, and that one brave person asks a question that they feel is stupid. But 9 times out of 10, they're not the only person that has that question. But the point is, you're not alone. When you have that braveness to step up and ask that question, or step up and do something, you're not the only one that feels like they need to do that or they want to do that. So you're not alone. That was one of the big things that I gained from that was, the negative feelings that you have, they're not just your negative feelings. Other people have them as well.
Absolutely.
You're not special. So, yeah.
Well, not for that anyway.
Well, we really closed this on a kind of a serious note. We went
we
went from sort of boring opener to lively sex toy review to.
But I think it's a very important topic, though. And like I said, it's something that we're just starting to explore and dive into ourselves. So we'll have lots more, I'm sure, between ourselves to say. And if there's anything terribly exciting, we'll get on the podcast and say it as well.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an area that we've found to be worth looking at important in our relationship and our relationships with others, just in the community in general. And it is interesting, when you talk about going to the swingers club, because there's times even with us when we're getting ready to go out, and it's like, oh, I feel so fat tonight and whatever. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to. But then you go and you have a great time and nobody else can tell. It's all in your furry little head.
It is.
And it just, you just suck it up, just do it, have fun. Again, if you're confident in yourself and you feel sexy, even if you don't feel sexy, fake it till you make it and act like you do, then it's all going to be good.
Yeah, and it's liberating. It's good.
So, it is.
Yeah, that's basically all I've got.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, we're gonna wrap this pony up. So
we're about out of wine anyway, so.
That's why I went and got beer.
Yeah,
so I've still got half of beer.
All right, I'm gonna have to refill.
Yeah. So this is I'm Mr. Adam. Hi, how you going? And this is Mrs. Adam.
Hello.
All right, yeah. So follow us on Twitter. At the Atoms of Love. Email us if you have questions. We get lots of random messages from people on Twitter who, we love the comments. We get a lot of positive comments. We get a couple of random cock shots, which still, please keep sending them. Send your cock shots. I have to be honest, I sort of giggle at them every time because the last thing I expect to open up and see is a cock shot. So yeah.
Yep.
I do. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. But I do laugh. But yes, follow us on Twitter at the Atoms of Love. Email us. We love your questions at theatomsoflove@gmail.com. So many at symbols, at signs. It needs to be a different anyway. Find us wherever you find other podcasts and shit like that. And that's pretty much all I got to say. So have a great week, and we'll see y'all, I don't know, somewhere down the line.
At the next podcast.
The next podcast, that's right.